G'day everyone, how's it going? Coming at you from the studio at home today, and just got some work that I'm going to be doing on my computer this morning. Some client stuff. It's a storyboard that I'm putting together for a new job that I've just landed. And then after that, the rest of today, I'm going to be putting together a pitch. I've got actually a massive client in Australia that I've done some work for before, but they've kind of gone away for the last 6 months. 6 or 8 months, and I haven't heard from them. They've come through and they've said that they want to align themselves with a production partner, and they're going out to a few different companies, and we were one of those companies shortlisted. So super exciting, super pumped. But this morning, as I got into my workflow here, it's about 10 a.m. in the morning. So I've done a little bit of YouTubing, and I've done a little bit of client and email follow-up and stuff. And now I'm kind of kicking into my day. I thought I'd just quickly jump on and do a real quick video on 5 productivity hacks that I utilize. And I've got some options for when everything gets super crazy and I get super stressed. I've got some things that I do and some things that I use, some tools that I use to just make sure that I'm always managing my workflow and workload. And in a meeting, it's very easy to say, hey client, oh yes, I'll get back to you on that. Oh yes, I'll email you tomorrow. Yes, I'll send you those details. Yes, I'll get the edit done next week. But sometimes it's really difficult to have the right controls and the measures in place to make sure that we deliver on those things with our clients. Now, it's super duper important that, especially in a new situation, and I'm just going to finish up and put the camera on here, and then I'll get into the 5 steps in 1 second. But it's super important to make sure that when we're working with new clients, especially new clients, that what we say is what we do. So if we say something, we have to deliver on it no matter what it takes. And in the early days, that was super hard. I mean, that was like you would say, hey, I can get that edit done. And in the beginning, it was like you kind of knew that you could, but you just weren't sure. And if you hit a snag along the way, or things came up, popped up along the way, and you didn't, anticipate those things happening, then it was almost like, right, here I go. It's 11 p.m. at night, and I'm going to be up till 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. to get this delivery out by 9 a.m. when I said. But it was all about just doing that work and getting those things done so that you can be true to your word with the client. And that is so critical and so crucial. And if you're just starting out, I can't stress that enough. That if you say, hey, I'll have that done by this date, or I'll send you that email, or I'm going to follow up with you tomorrow, or I'll give you a quick call at 2 o'clock today, you have to do those things. And that will solidify the trust that a client really needs to pay you, an amount of money to produce something for them before they put a deposit forward, or before they say yes to a project. That solidifies that trust that you are going to do what you say you do. So just 5 quick hacks that I use, and let's get right into the video. I'm just going to pop the camera over there on the tripod, and I'm going to jump on the screen as well so you can see a little bit about how I set up these different things as well as I go through the process. Right, so here we are at the desk, and the first hack that I want to show you guys in terms of productivity is just, I use iMail. It's actually Gmail. So on my phone, I tend to use the Gmail app because it's a little bit easier. But on my computer, I like to use iMail. I'm used to it. I've used it for many years, and it just works for me. I'm not inbox zero, so no haters. I don't want anyone saying that I should be like Craig Adams and be inbox zero. This is just the way I've found to do it. There's a reason why I just leave the inbox, and maybe once a year I'll clean it out. It's because I can see if I've kind of missed an email or something. I can just go and check all unread emails, and then I can see if I've missed something. So they're just things that are like my subscriptions or emails that aren't important, and I just leave them unread most of the time. But I don't clear them out of my inbox because, as I said, I want to still be able to search through those as well. So one of the main things that is really important is getting back to emails as video producers, and especially when we're following up for leads or following up for new jobs, or closing in on deadlines when clients need information and need creative briefs and stuff like that. So what I'll tend to do is just this email here from Vimeo, say this was a client email and I want to respond to it, just right click on it and I just flag it red. That's it. That's basically all I do. I flag it red. Oh, it doesn't want to flag. Anyway, there's another way to do it. You can just jump up the top and flag it like that. Basically, I flag it red, and then I know when I come here, I've got flagged, and I know that they're my emails. So in a day, if I get after a weekend, maybe I get 10 emails or something, or 11 emails I have to reply to, I just flag it like that, and then I come in and I respond to all the flagged emails. And then, even on my phone, I'll flag it on the, that's why I use the iMail app. So I will jump on my phone on iMail. I'll flag the email on my iMail. When I jump back on my desk, 9 a.m. Monday morning, they're all there to respond to. So that's just a super simple way to make sure that you're not missing any email responses and you're getting back to them, as quickly as possible. So all you do then is you just click on that once it's done, and you just change the flag back to clear. And then everything drops out of your flagged messages. So that's the first one. Second one is a little bit different. This is more like a productivity hack in terms of not following up on things, but how to get more work done. So starting my business early on, it was only me doing the job. So I had no one else I could rely on to get work done. And I was still kind of really pushing to get things done quickly for clients, and still as if I was more of a mobile team and a bigger team than I actually was. So there was a few times, many times actually in the early days when I just did so much work, and I'd be working almost 18-hour days to get things done and to get things sorted. And you can ask my wife how much that took a toll on me in the early days, but it was just what I believe was important at that time, just to get my business kick-started and to make sure that clients saw me as a bigger producer and a bit of a bigger player than I probably was in those early days. So if they were like, hey, we've got this project we want you to do, it's a super quick turnaround, it's 2 weeks, and we want you to shoot it next Friday, so you're only going to have a week to edit it, I would say yes, let me do that. I want to be involved with it. So I would basically just take on the work and just work myself to the bone to get it done. So I've developed some strategies around how to really push through a massive amount of work. And this is kind of down to editing when you're in the video production space. So it's not so much creative briefs or shoots itself, but some pre-production, what had to produce overnight because we were shooting the next day. So, I'd produce the pre-production, then I'd be asleep for the shoot, or half asleep for the shoot, but at least I got it done and still had the proper professional pre-production documents like a shoot schedule and a shot list and all those things. I wasn't just rocking up, blind to the shoot. So I still knew what I was shooting and knew what I needed to do to carry out that shoot for my client. But basically this hack was, I would, in the morning, so I would, even if I went to bed at like 2 or 3 a.m., in the morning, I would wake up at 5 a.m. Okay, so it started with a 5 a.m. wake up. And sometimes this was extreme. Sometimes this was earlier than that if I needed to submit by 9 a.m. that morning. And I would give myself one deadline at 9 a.m. So I would work from 5 until 9 in the morning. So I'd just get up, I'd sort of have a quick shower, jump at my computer and work from 5 to 9. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that gives me 4 hours of the morning. And then I would have a deadline at 9 a.m. And so I would specifically break down what I needed to do that day into 3 specific sections of work. And I would work from 5 till 9 a.m. So if it was an edit, I need to have everything, all the clips cut and in a timeline by 9 a.m. So this gave me my first deadline for the day. Then the second thing I did was I gave myself a second deadline. So at 9 a.m. I would take a break. I would be with my wife, and then later when I had my boy Judd, I would be with my boy and I would have breakfast and I would have a bit of a rest and a relax, maybe a little power nap if I needed to, 15 or 20 minutes. And then at 10 a.m. I would go again until 1 p.m. So 1 p.m. was my second deadline for the day. So I would go from 10 and it would be like 10, 11, 12, once another 3 hours. Maybe I would push that out to 2 depending on the work that I had, but I would have that second set of work, and maybe in an edit that was have all the clips cut into a timeline. So have a basic timeline cut, or have music choice nailed, or one of the big elements of the edit would be done by that 1 or 2 p.m. And then I would break again for lunch for an hour. And then the third deadline would be 6 p.m. for dinner. So then I would start up again at 2 or 3 o'clock and I would work through till 6 or 7 p.m. and then break again for dinner. And then if I hadn't completed in that amount of time, and this is already a crazy amount of hours, so you could see how I really was dedicated to it back in the day. But if I hadn't completed the job by then I would have dinner. And then by 9 p.m., I would be back at my computer, for another 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours. So it may be wrapping up around midnight or 1 a.m. So this is what I did sometimes in consecutive days. I would do that for 2 to 3 days to push out an edit. And I was able to do it. I was, I'm not super old and I'm not got any health issues or anything like that. I was able to do it, but by the 3rd or 4th day, I would be mega run down and really irritated and all that stuff. But if I had that client job done and dusted and in and invoiced Well, that was the goal. And then I could take a day or two just to chillax and not do too much. So 3 different deadlines, and potentially 4, because the night deadline, like the midnight deadline PM, was like, if I needed to get extra stuff done, I would use that midnight deadline. But basically, instead of normally in a 9 to 5 job, you've got one deadline for the day. You've got a 5 p.m. deadline. You've got to get stuff done by 5 p.m. if you want to leave the office for that day and keep the boss happy, all of that. Well, I created 3 in my day. And, some of those days were 18-hour days. So I'm not saying that your life is and your life balance works to do those kind of days. But certainly I knew in the beginning, if I wanted to, work my way up the ladder and get into bigger contracts and work with better clients, not better clients, but different clients and higher paying clients, then I needed to do that work, and I needed to just push through some of those early edits and those early projects. So that was my second productivity hack. And you can implement it yourself. Maybe you wake up at 6 a.m. and do 2 hours before breakfast. And then maybe you start again at 9 a.m. and you do 4 hours before lunch. But you basically treat those deadlines specifically as you need to get this amount of work done by that time. And you'd be surprised how quickly and how much you can achieve when you really put your mind to it and you set those deadlines for yourself. And I'm kind of a last minute kind of person. In university, I was always last minute. So basically I would always be running behind on everything. So this was a way that I was like, hey, I'm gonna actually map this out properly, just as I would a shoot. You do your shot list, you go and do your shoot on the day, and you map out the schedule, and then you edit it in a way that is actually systematic, and you can repeat that every time. Well, I would just apply that to my day. So that's a long one. That's probably the most important one that I implemented, that allowed me to work like a team of 3 people and to produce work at that level that you would only be able to do if you had 2 or 3 editors behind you, or a team of guys. But I was able to do that all on my own. And it's not sustainable long term, like 5 or 10 years, you can't do it for that long, but you can do it in the early days of your business. Certainly if you're working a 9 to 5 and you want to do something on the side to start with, which is how I started, you can implement that from 6 p.m. till midnight. You can implement that, and it will help you to produce more work and quicker. So that's my second hack. The third hack is to use an app that I use called Asana. So let me just take you to Asana really quick, and I'll show you how to do that. This is kind of, for me, how I don't miss deadlines. So one of the really important things, as I said in the beginning of this video, is that you don't miss any deadlines. You actually stick to what you say, and that really helps you to develop trust with the client. So if you're always missing deadlines and stuff, it's gonna be really bad and reflect badly and poorly on your ability to produce the work. So especially in the lead follow-up and in the early days of the client relationship, you wanna be like saying stuff that you can deliver on, but also making sure that what you say, even if you say tomorrow I'll get it to you, and tomorrow's a super busy day, you just make time to ensure that you do it. And Asana is one of the ways that I sort of used Asana to help me to do that. So let me just jump across here to my personal projects, because I can show you one that I just set up recently. And this is a podcast that I have for a client of mine. And basically what I've got here is I need to produce this podcast for her, episode 57, by Wednesday at 5 p.m. So my deadline for me is Wednesday at 5 p.m. Now her deadline is, she wants it in her in the back end of her podcast app by the 9 a.m. on Thursday morning. But I don't want to work into the night with this, because this is just something I do on the side at the moment as a side project. My main business is Pendula, but this is just what I do on the side for a client, because it's not associated with what I do for Pendula. So it's podcasting, it's a little bit different. We do video production. But anyway, just to show you how I use Asana. So what I do in Asana is I set up this task, and the task is basically to edit the podcast episode 57. That's the task. And the due date is tomorrow at 9 a.m. on this. Now, this due date is basically going to tell me in the morning at 9 a.m. It's going to give me an email, and Asana is going to give me a notification on my phone that I need to produce this podcast. So I'm going to then quickly jump on the podcast. It takes me about 20 minutes to do, not a long process really when all the stuff's in order. Sometimes they're longer because there's an interview, and so I've got to edit a little bit longer, but generally it only takes me about 15 to 20 minutes. So basically what I do is 9 a.m. that'll give me a notification on my phone and on the computer. And then what I can do from there is, throughout that day, I can begin to work on that podcast. Now, what I do is I create another task within Asana. Now, this is the free version of Asana, so this is the way you can do it. So I create another task, a second task within Asana, and I say complete podcast episode 57. So this is actually my completion task. So I've got to have this done by 5 p.m. tomorrow, which is Tuesday today. So I put in this task, and then I put in all the details of the episode, where the link is, what I need to write in for everything, for all the RSS feed stuff, and I put the deadline as the actual deadline. So the secondary task is actually this 9 a.m. task. And this task is just literally a reminder task. So this task comes out first, and this tells me, hey, today you need to focus on this. And it's almost like Asana, the stuff in Asana, it trumps everything else I'm doing. Like if I've got a YouTube video I want to shoot, then Asana comes up and says, boom, you need to get this done. I work on Asana. So if I've got client follow-up deadlines, I need to have things done, then I put this in Asana. If I have a meeting scheduled with a meeting agenda, I put that in Asana. But just this way to use Asana to have a deadline task, which maps out exactly what the task is and when it's due, and then have a reminder task to come up in your email and on your phone to remind you to actually do it. Because, you know, we've all done it before. I've woken up on a Thursday morning and this client has messaged me at, 8:30 a.m. and she said, hey, where's the podcast? And it happens to all of us. And I've gone, oh crap, and I've had to get up, hustle, and get it done. And so this just avoids that because I've got so much other stuff going on that, tomorrow morning, Wednesday, I might wake up and I might completely not think about this task. And then this just pops up into my feed and I know, okay, I have to get onto this. So that's how I use Asana to, create these tasks, and it has really, really helped. You can do it on the phone. So if I have an email follow-up I want to get to on the phone, and if I'm on a job or something on a shoot, but I know if I don't put that in, I'll forget, then bang, I just put it in and I know I can follow up on that. So hopefully that's helpful. That's my third productivity hack. My fourth hack for you is these are probably not hacks either. These are probably just kind of things that I do. But my fourth hack is I use calendars a lot, and I tried a few different things. I tried Calendly, which was pretty cool. I also tried Google Calendar, which is really good as well. I think Google Calendar probably has some benefits, but since upgrading to my new 15-inch MacBook Pro, now I'm just on the normal Mac calendar. So basically what I do is I use reminders extensively. So I'll always use reminders. So I've got this shoot here for Coral Homes that's coming up, and if I just double click on it, basically I've got the dates of the shoot, and it's got 2 alerts on the shoot here. It's got one day before at 9 a.m. It's going to alert me of the shoot. So I'll basically set the reminder. It's got my biz partner there. She's going to be with me on the Gold Coast shooting this. So it's got her name there, and I've sent that to her as well. So she has that in her iCalendar as well. So that's probably not the best one to show you because it doesn't have really any reminders attached to it. Let me go back and see if I've got one where I've got reminders here about it. Okay, here. So this one is a Skype with a client. So this was a consultation that I had scheduled. So it's then telling me on the 7th of January, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. is the time when that is, and it's going to alert me 5 minutes before the start, and it's going to alert 30 minutes before the start as well. So I need to set up a few things for my Skype calls. I've got to have a camera ready to go. This camera I use a Elgato Cam Link to stream this to my computer, so it looks really professional when I'm when I'm streaming or doing a Skype call or doing a team viewer or anything like that. So I need to set that up. So it alerts me 30 minutes before to get that set up, and then 5 minutes before it's like it's go time in 5 minutes. So I want to always be super on schedule for these kind of things. And so it tells me here, it's got some information that I sent out to the client as well because he was in another country. So it said 16 hours ahead of your time zone. So I'll be 9 a.m. Tuesday morning, and I think you should be about 5 p.m. on Monday. So I'm now with my YouTube channel doing consultations kind of all over the world. So I've got to make sure the client knows exactly what time they need to be ready as well to jump on a quick call with me. And yeah, so that's kind of how I do that. And that's worked really, really well to give me those two things. Now, if I've got a shoot coming up or a deadline for something, I'll put this second alert, I'll make this second alert the day before. So you got the option here to set one day before, and it will alert you the day before, hey, you need to get onto that. That's happening tomorrow. I can even have that 2 days before. Like if I need to book flights for a trip coming up, which I actually do, I need to book for this next trip coming up here. I haven't booked flights yet for the 26th to the 29th of February, then I need to basically put in this week, I will put in, or next week at the latest, I'll put in a alert to book flights. So I do that as well. And I basically put in here, I'll go to here and I'll add in another alert, and I'll put the alert to be 1 week before or custom. So I can put that in to be custom, and then I can book flights. Once that pops up, I know, okay, this is my 2 weeks before and I need to book flights. So my last productivity hack for you guys is really, really simple. It's basic, it's 101, but it's a notebook. And I have these kind of little cool little notebooks that I get from Officeworks, which is a office supply place here in Australia. And I like the look of them and everything. And I've got like 5 of these. 2 that are fresh. This one's kind of, I'm using at the moment. I've got another one that's fresh just in my cupboard here. And I have like 3 or 4 that have all my notes in it. So this, I'm not fully digital. So I'll go to a job with this and sometimes just this on my phone, but usually this, my laptop, or now I'm starting to use my iPad more with a bridge keyboard. I'm going to be doing a video on my iPad setup coming up because my keyboard is on the way. But basically, I'm not paperless yet. And one of the main reasons is because I don't want to be attached to technology when I'm in a client meeting. Now, this is kind of not a productivity hack, but it comes down to, it really works well when I'm at my computer and I am doing something like a client brief or something, and I'm using my notes that I took from the client meeting. And also when I'm in the meeting as well, basically I'm writing stuff down, and I just say to the client, as soon as I start the meeting, I say, hey, I'm just going to be taking notes as you talk, because I want to make sure I capture everything that we're talking about here on concept. They love it. They love the idea. I'm not on my phone. I'm not behind a computer screen. That's all off to the side. And I'm just engaging with them as I am with you right now. And I'm just taking notes as they go. And it's super scribbly notes. Like it's, if you look at some of these notes, it's just hectic how scribbly it is. I don't know if that's going to focus or not on that for you, but it's really super, super scribbly, and it's not super neat, but I just really scribble out and hammer out the notes so that I've got everything to go. I don't even put the dates or anything on the pages. I literally just turn to a new page and just start writing, because I can always flip back and see, what those things are that I've written, and I can always find where it is because I'm using that current notebook that I've got. So for me, I do to-do lists as well, and I've tried a few to-do list apps, but I find that it's better just for me to set reminders. So to use Asana and do like a reminders in a reminder app. But if I've got a lot to do in a day, I'll just turn to a clean page and I'll just write all my things that I need to do in that day. And rather than writing them into technology or into a phone, I just feel that I write them out and then I can kind of remember them as I go, and I can just scribble them out as I go. So I'll just write them out and I'll put this to the side and I'll start working on the first task, and then I'll just open it up again to that same page and I'll just read off, okay, I've done that, done that, done that. Okay, I missed these 2. All right, I'll get onto those. So that's a super old school way, but I would encourage you to do that when you're in a client meeting and use one of these, because there is this barrier that technology brings. And if you're in a meeting behind a computer, there's that seed of doubt that can be in the mind of the client, where they're thinking, is he engaging with me or she engaging with me right now? Or is he or she on their phone doing another thing, quickly checking Facebook, quickly writing an email, quickly doing something else? But this just takes it away. There's no way, if I'm sitting with a client and I'm looking at this and writing on this and it's open on the desk, there's no way they can think he's not engaging with me right now. So it's kind of not a productivity hack, but it is a productivity hack where I do the to-do list. And also when you flick back through, you can see everything that you've written there as well. So you're not tapping on a keyboard. There's no audible sound to writing with a pen. And I'm able to look away a lot and just scribble out the notes and look away, ask questions and write everything down. So this pen was actually a pen that we gave away at our wedding, my wife and I, 10 years ago. And I've still got it, I still use it. I've replaced the cartridge about 3 times, but I love this pen. So this just kind of sits here like that when I go to a client meeting, and this is awesome. I love it. All right, guys, well, that's all from me. This has been a long one, but hopefully you got something out of this, and make sure you get on top of those things that you're saying to people. If you're on your journey or you have a creative business, you really want to go to the next level, make sure you're always just getting on top of the things that you're saying to your clients. If you say, hey, I can do this by this date, make sure you stick to it, make sure you do it, because that is one differentiator that will take you to that next level, and it will open bigger doors for you, get you into bigger client meetings. I can guarantee it. I've proven that it works. All right, love you all, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.